Hello, happy Thanksgiving everyone, and welcome to the Villages Media Group special presentation, The Making of Faces of Freedom. I'm Larry L. Over the next 15 minutes, we will take you behind the scenes of the award-winning series and show you what went into bringing the 3 special sections in the Daily Sun and the 6 30-minute specials on VNN to the community, honoring the men and women who fought and died for our country. American heroes we are truly thankful for. Here now, The Making of Faces of Freedom.
They were men and women of honor, guardians of the sea, defenders of freedom. Now the Villages Media Group, in partnership with Properties of the Villages and Comcast, bring you their extraordinary
What was coming was a media convergence project like no other. The Daily Sun, VNN, and WVLG, paper, TV, and radio joining as one, sharing thoughts and resources to tell the stories of true American heroes, an undertaking that took months to execute and would prove to be extremely challenging.
Soldiers, sailors, and airmen have all fought to preserve the American ideal. So the Villages Media Group is launching a year-long project to honor them. Now, if you'd like your story to be part of Faces of Freedom,
with the use of daily newscasts on VNN, stories in the Daily Sun, and through the airwaves on WVLG, the call went out to area veterans, and Faces of Freedom was off the ground. The response was immediate and overwhelming. More than 430 of our nation's finest answered the call. And that created the daunting task of developing a database to keep track of each and every veteran, the story they had to tell, and the photos, videos, and artifacts that would be used to help tell it.
We had put some plans in place to accommodate the different kinds of problems that we might encounter, like how are we going to file the information, how are we going to track all the information coming in, how are we going to make sure that all the pictures get back to the veterans when they bring them in. We want to be consistent from one veteran to the other in the types of questions that are asked. So I came up with a format that would allow us to do that.
Of course, the airborne, there were aircraft involved, many different models of aircraft. We had to define that so we could research and get accurate information. A number of cities in Europe that no longer exist, and there was a lot of research that had to be done, but it got more detailed as the process went through so we could verify and validate everything that we were told.
With a database created, all veterans' bios were screened by producers for both paper and TV, and those which made for compelling stories were selected to be featured in either the special section of the Daily Sun or the special on VNN. The Daily Sun took a total of 142 stories for all 3 phases, while VNN used 53 stories. All 440 veterans' bios were featured in the Daily Sun's special sections. Producers assigned the stories to reporters who began pre-interviews with each subject to touch base with them and get a feel for the individual while making them comfortable about the story. Reporters quickly realized this project was something special.
It was well into the interview process, into where I think the camera kind of starts to become less apparent or obvious in the lights, and it becomes just a conversation and storytelling. And you start to realize what these veterans went through. That's when it really hit me that this is pretty intense, and I'm glad I get to hear these stories and have an appreciation for this.
As reporters began their production process, so did others who would play a vital role in helping bring this project to life. The graphic departments from both the paper and television station began on developing the overall project look that both mediums would build their specials around. The Daily Sun contemplated the cover of their special section, which would serve as the template for all 3 phases.
We started going through our photos. We came up with a concept that's the concept you see, that all 3 sections covers would be similar, but they would all be different photos. That theme carried through to the daily coverage and the coverage in the section with the logos. We did a very unique thing with our logo for this project. The photos and the logo changed every day as well. That goes against all logic for a logo. The logo's supposed to be the same. It was the same, but the photos were different. So it became kind of a cool thing where veterans were looking every day to see if they were in there. Between the photos and the logos and the photos and the covers, we were able to get almost 3/4 of them in that. So that was a pretty cool thing, I think.
Meanwhile, VNN began their process of developing a look for the show's open. In an effort to begin promotion of the upcoming specials, the Villages Media Group took veterans to the Fantasy Flight Airplane Museum, the aircraft carrier USS John F. Kennedy, and Camp Blanding to tour the facilities and reminisce. These visits also allowed the producers of VNN to scout the locations for possible backdrops for the specials. Reporters began interviewing their subjects as scripts and rough drafts went before producers for modifications to fit the overall product. While that was being accomplished, the music and open to the TV special was being finalized, and the Daily Sun was putting the finishing touches to the layout. As stories were finalized, VNN shot their on-cameras on location at the museum, the aircraft carrier, and the base. The process of putting the half-hour shows together then got underway. Meanwhile, the Daily Sun had compiled all their stories, and the layout for the special section was finalized and sent to the plant for printing. More than 100,000 copies were made for the 3 phases.
Actually, when we run a special section supplement, we have an ever-busy production schedule already, and like you said, it's to make sure where can we find time to fit it into our normal daily production, outside commercial work, and our Daily Sun production runs ourselves. So it takes a lot. It takes a lot of teamwork, all the way from our editorial department to make sure they deadline everything on time, all the way through our people that make our plates, make sure we have all the paper on premises to make sure everything gets ran right, and scheduling our employees. This kind of went above and beyond. It did. Once we saw what we were doing, they wanted to make sure every little color was tweaked in and everything was just right. But it's something we do on an everyday basis, basically. It's part of creating something. Everything is written and all the content's put in, and it's basically up to the guys here to make it better. So that's kind of what their role is.
During the whole production process, the marketing and promotions departments carefully choreographed different ways to get the word out about this project. TV promoted it during newscasts while cross-promoting the Daily Sun's special section. The Daily Sun did the same while cross-promoting VNN. The Daily Sun's website featured promotional banners announcing the Faces of Freedom project for both paper and television. The main sponsors secured for both projects were also involved in promoting the specials. Comcast sponsored a movie marathon featuring 5 war movies free of charge. VNN also produced 30-second spots for Comcast and Properties of the Villages, which not only promoted the upcoming specials but honored their own employees who are veterans. Rack cards were also produced and placed in all Daily Sun paper racks around the community, and posters were made and displayed in the windows of all our sponsors. With all the stories completed and the editing done, VNN aired their 30-minute specials in conjunction with the Daily Sun special sections to rave reviews. The Daily Sun received many letters to the editor, praising the efforts of the media group. Even our sister station, AM 640 WVLG, took part by airing veteran interviews on their focus show. For the effort and hard work, the Villages Media Group received recognition by the television and newspaper industries. VNN went up against 12,000 entries from all 50 states and 5 continents and captured 3 prestigious Telly Awards and the Aurora Award.
The stories that these guys had to tell and these women had to tell just blew me away. I sat there with my mouth literally open on the desk, just, we got to get this out. We got to tell people about these people and what they've done for us and giving us the freedoms that we have today. So the more and more I met these individuals, I took it became personal. I was moved emotionally, I was attached to them, and how do I get that feeling that I'm feeling out to our viewers? And I think the veterans really handled that for me. I mean, it was their stories, but it was also the information we got from the veterans that started from when they first came in to our reporters digging and getting more information out of them, to our editors who put together Our editors just did a phenomenal job by putting video and music and graphics to these stories that really brought them to life.
The Daily Sun also brought home some hardware, capturing awards from the Florida Society of Newspaper Editors, the Inland Press Association, Florida Press Club, and a Best of Show from the Florida Newspaper and Marketing Executives. The final products, the DVDs and special sections, were also used by educators at high schools throughout the area to help facilitate learning in history classes. DVD copies were also requested by the Museum of Broadcast Communications in Chicago and the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. The lessons learned from the first two phases were applied in the third and final phase, America's Frontline Heroes, which was the biggest yet. VNN shot all their video with a special camera to give Frontline Heroes a film look. And all the interviews were done on a new set. Producers even found a new way to present veteran bios throughout the show. The Daily Sun refined many aspects of putting their special section together, from the editing and layout process to the research conducted on various battles and the photo selection process.
This was the Super Bowl, and I feel like we just won the Super Bowl. It's, I don't know how you couldn't feel that way. I mean, when Part 3 got out on the streets, on the airwaves, we won the Super Bowl.
I think each newspaper, radio, and television complemented each other so well, and it was a well orchestrated. It came together, and yes, each entity went their own direction with their own stories, but it was definitely teamwork, and we brought it all together.
Bringing these amazing stories to the surrounding communities was the main goal of this Convergence project, and was a tremendous success.
I don't think we'll ever see anything that will compare to this as far as media production.